Hello and welcome back to the Preppy podcast. Thank you guys so much for being here and listening today. If you are new here, well, welcome. And if you've been a listener for a while, then I so appreciate the support. If you follow on social media, you know that I have been traveling around. We had a live podcast panel last week in Newport, Rhode Island, with some amazing female entrepreneurs. And that recording and video will be out shortly. I'm hoping by the end of this week, maybe next week though. But you all who couldn't make it can go back and listen to that because it is seriously so amazing. And then also a reminder that we have Camp Preppy, which will be in July, in just about a month, honestly, which is so crazy. And that is in the Berkshires at the Red Lion Inn. It's going to be adult preppy summer camp. So, not so much a business retreat, but more a time to make friends, get inspired, have fun, relax, enjoy, and take part in all sorts of preppy activities like mahjong and watercolors and needlepoint. And we're going to be doing a fun photo shoot for a publication there as well. So, seriously, last call just about to get your tickets for that. You can find them at thepreppypodcast.com. It's going to be seriously amazing, and the goodie bags are so good. I keep getting boxes in. And if this wasn't my own event, I totally would go too. So, just a little plug there. But this week I have on Mollie from Crosby by Mollie Burch. She is no stranger to the Preppy podcast, although this is the first time I am interviewing her on her own exclusive episode. She has been part of my panel that I did in Savannah at Emily McCarthy's shop, and also the panel I did with Dillard. So you guys have heard a little bit about her business, but in this episode, we are doing a deep dive, learning all about her, how she got started, her journey. She even shares some great advice if you need some investors and how to go about that. She talks about, the shift with business with the tariffs that are happening right now, and so much great advice. So I think you're really going to enjoy this episode. But before we get into that, I want to thank Luna Marketing Studio for sponsoring this event. A little bit about Luna. I actually started working with them recently to help with some social media ads, and their team is just, first of all, so nice. Talk about Midwest hospitality. They are just so lovely and kind, and nice to work with, and so knowledgeable. I've heard Drew speak on different little panels and Zooms about, social media and marketing, and her team are just so knowledgeable. So you definitely want to align yourself with them. Luna Marketing Studio is the partner that you've been looking for. They are a nationally recognized boutique marketing studio that helps founders, thought leaders, and creative professionals elevate their brand and scale their business with clarity, consistency, and confidence. Here's what they do best: brand messaging and strategy. This includes, your mission statement, your taglines, your elevator pitch. This is great if you are just getting started, but also if you never did these things at the beginning, which I feel like a lot of people did not, and then they have to go back and make those. So they're great at that. Also, web design and development. So many people ask me for a good web designer, and Luna Marketing Studio is definitely one of them. They can help you with a high converting website to help you build and grow your business to support it. Social media management, they create amazing content to reflect your voice and show up consistently on people's feeds. I think that's the hardest thing with social, is being consistent. So have their team help you with that. And email marketing and lead nurturing. So email marketing, I talk about emails so much on this podcast with so many guests, and it is so important. You guys really need to lean into that because you own that. So why not have Luna Marketing help you with that? Paid advertising. So this is kind of what I talked about that I'm working with their team on, and they've been so great. You have a whole form to kind of fill out to tell about your business, where you want to be, some goals you have, and then you schedule a call with them and go over everything and start implementing it. So they've been so great in helping me with that. Pinterest strategy and design, and then launch support. Maybe you need help getting your brand out there and officially launching, so they can help you with that. What sets them apart? I've kind of talked a little bit about this, but their team is just so lovely. They have white glove communication and creative support. They are a strategic partner in terms of mindset. They're not just a service provider, they're really a partner to help you in your business. And they care about the women behind the brand. There are so many women on their team, and so they love working with women brands as well. And they have a proven track record. I know so many guests and listeners who have worked with Luna Marketing Studio on this podcast, and many friends and clients as well. So they're definitely a trusted source. So if you're ready to make marketing a priority for your business in the second half of 2025, then reach out to Luna Marketing. You can find them at lunamarketingstudio.com, explore their services, and book a consultation. All right, well, without further ado, let's get into this week's episode.
All right, so why don't you let everyone know who you are, where you live, and what you do?
Yes. So I am Mollie Burch. I am the creative director and CEO of Crosby by Mollie Burch. We are based in Atlanta, Georgia. So live in Atlanta, born and raised in a small town outside of Atlanta, and have kind of been here, pretty much ever since. But Crosby is a women's contemporary ready-to-wear company. So we're really known for just like our bright, bold use of color and playful prints. Uh,
And I'm wearing one of your pieces today, which you can't tell, but it has gorgeous flowers on the bottom that it's so preppy and classic and a little bit retro whimsy, which I love. But listeners have heard you on the Dillards panel before. So they've heard a little bit about you. But today we're going to really dive in and learn more about you and your brand. So I'm curious, I like to start from the beginning, meaning what was little Mollie like? Was she someone who has always been, making clothes for her dolls and creative and into fashion at a young age, or were you maybe entrepreneurial and having little side hustles even as a kid? What was your childhood like?
yeah. All of the above. So yes, I feel like, as soon as I could hold a paintbrush, I was, creating, and have always loved art, been very into art. And then also more on the entrepreneurial side, yes, like always trying to figure out, what could I sell, how to create something I could sell. Our poor neighbors, I'm sure they got so tired. Our house was like one of the first on the street. So, everyone had to drive by it. And the amount that I would sit at the end of the driveway selling, painted rocks or, beaded lizard keychains or, whatever the newest thing was. I was constantly trying to build a business. But yeah, I, always loved um playing dress up. I feel like I, was constantly putting clothes on, forcing my friends and mom to play dress up. And then yeah, just back to like the creativity side. Art was always such an important piece of my childhood. I was fortunate to have gone to a school where there were really wonderful art teachers who I really do think like helped shape me into the creative that I am today. And, we're a print based brand. I do all the print design. So there is such an artistic element to the brand beyond, just the clothing design. And yeah, I mean, that's been my passion, since I was little.
Yeah, I feel like that's so wonderful to hear. I hear so many guests on the podcast say that they had really great art teachers and a great art system at their school. And I think that's so wonderful because I think you need someone to kind of give you confidence and give you a little direction when it comes to that. So it sounds like you had that, which is so wonderful. So I'm curious then, when it came time for college, where and what did you end up studying?
Yeah. So went a little outside of the box, given that, I really wanting to, have my own clothing brand and it be this like fun print driven brand, was really something that I knew I wanted to do from a young age. I mean, in high school, I spent summers going to different, fashion camps at art schools and things like that. So kind of started dabbling in that sort of education early on. But then when it came time to apply for college, I didn't really want to go to an art school. Even though I knew this is what I wanted to do, I really just kind of wanted to get that like full liberal arts, education experience, go to a college with a football team, albeit the one I chose has a terrible football team. So anyways, ended up going to University of Virginia in Charlottesville, Virginia. They don't have a fashion program. I wouldn't even say they have a big art program. But I just, I applied and visited and fell in love with the school and really just wanted that like kind of classic full college experience. So decided to go to UVA and was just like, I'm going to make it work. So went in thinking I would be a business major and, knew I wanted to start a business. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just, I'll get that foundation and then maybe go to grad school for fashion. And after the first semester of prereqs for the business school, I decided that was not going to be my choice. It was
a lot of math, right?
yeah, a lot of math. And I mean, I'm pretty good at math, but it was more like just the economics and like
Yeah.
statistics about did me in, which I know is math, but I don't know. After a semester of it, I was like, I can't do 4 years of this. So rerouted and was like, okay, I'll just, be an art major, and kind of did a couple semesters of that and was like, oh, this is not like, I can't spend 4 years and graduate with, just an art major, knowing like that doesn't really set me up to do what I want to do when I leave college. And, anyway, so from there, I decided to apply into UVA has a really cool program within their like Eccles Scholar program where you can create your own major. So you can kind of create your own curriculum and propose it. You propose it to a dean. They, either approve it or don't. And then that is your major. So I ended up doing that, and it was called the Art of Fashion. So it's very like kind of studio art based fashion major, but it pulled from the studio art department. It pulled from the costume department within the drama school. So was able to get more of like the technical education there. And then some art history. And then I also pulled in courses. I did a summer school at Parsons, which I pulled in, and did some online classes with FIT throughout my college years, and then also studied abroad at an art school where I did fashion classes. So it was such a hodgepodge, but in a way, I feel like it was kind of like dipping my toe into entrepreneurship because it was, creating this major that had not been done before. And yeah, it worked out. I was heads down in my thesis 4th year while all my other friends were just cruising. So that was a little rough, but yeah, it really worked out. I feel like I got a super well-rounded education. It was not the, typical path, but makes for an interesting story.
Yeah. Well,
And I met my business partner now also went to UVA. So wouldn't have known her if I didn't pursue that.
totally. Well, I mean, the campus there is so beautiful, so I totally get why you were drawn to it. And I love that you took matters into your own hands, really, and then created your own studies, which I think is so smart. And I think Amy Littleson, who I had on the podcast a few years ago, she kind of did the same thing when she went to school. And I think that's like you said, it's entrepreneurial. I mean, you're setting your own schedule and what you're studying, and I really like that. I think that's smart. So then after college, what was kind of your career like? What was your first career? Did you go right into launching a business, or did you go and maybe work for someone else? Did it have to do with fashion or something completely different?
Yeah. Well, in college, I did a couple of internships in the summers in New York, which were very formative. The first was with Hunter Bell,
Okay.
Who I love. She was such an incredible mentor. I left, I left that summer feeling like, okay, this is like just validated
Yeah.
in kind of everything I was pursuing and wanting to do. And then the second summer, I interned at Millie, which was a very different experience. But uh, a good one nonetheless. And then so after that, I think most of college I was thinking I would move to New York after I graduated and, dive into the sort of fashion grind there. But after I had spent all 3 summers in New York because of the first summer was Parsons and then the other two were my internships, I was, I think, kind of out of the honeymoon period with New York a little bit, slash realized that on a, fashion assistant salary, it was going to be rough
Right.
living. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and find something elsewhere. So I ended up moving back to Atlanta, and worked for a company. They're no longer in business now, but it's called Annie Griffin Collection. So
Okay.
I designed for them for about a year and a half. That also was an amazing experience. It was a small
Yeah.
team, small company. So I really,
And they were kind of known for their prints too. I remember that brand. Some local boutiques here carried them.
yeah. So I was brought on to do the print design,
Okay.
and then had my hands in a lot of the other design parts, as well. But yeah, so that was a great experience, and then but ended up starting Crosby. So I was there about a year and a half, and then left to start Crosby. So
Okay.
I was 24 when I started
Wow.
Crosby, had just
Okay.
turned 24. Yeah, so young.
That's
I think back on
amazing.
that now and I'm like, oh my gosh, what were we thinking?
I mean, but that's the same with me with starting my PR business. And I think same thing. I look back and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But I feel like if it was any later, like we wouldn't have the confidence or like what you don't know at that age. So you just like do it. And, people are nicer too when you're young. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it worked out. I probably knocked some later years off my life from it, but it's okay. But yeah, so started when I was 24.
Okay.
My business partner who I mentioned, Taylor, we were roommates at the time. So we both went to UVA, graduated the same year, actually did not know each other at UVA, but
Oh,
were connected by a mutual friend to live together in Atlanta. We both were moving to Atlanta. So we met the day we signed our lease for our apartment and just kind of, hoped for the best that we would get along. And, not only did we get along, she's one of my very best friends and also my business partner.
yeah.
So she sort of in that, year and a half that I was working elsewhere, she got to know me obviously, and also just my passion and desire to start Crosby. And really just wanted to get behind that. She has an entrepreneurial spirit as well, and she has the business school side of the brain that I
Yeah.
opted out of. So she, just essentially came to me one day and was like, "I want to help you do this." So she was only full time with us for the first 6 months and really
Okay.
helping get the company off the ground. But still, I mean, it's still involved. Just plays more of like a consultant type role.
Got it.
Um,
So what did those, early days look like? Like, what did it look like from going to, I have this great idea. My roommate now is coming in as a business partner. What were the first steps? Did you, have to obviously make samples and get a website launch? Like, how did it look taking it from idea to actually putting a brand out there?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of nights sitting on the couch, drinking wine, business planning together, leading up to, the actual start. But then we ended up, the way we really got started, we did a Kickstarter,
Okay.
which I don't even know if Kickstarter still exists, but
Yeah, but I
um,
remember it.
yeah, we did a Kickstarter. We raised $20,000 with Kickstarter. And that essentially paid for a sample set. So
Okay.
we used that to um, make samples. Our first collection was like it was spring summer 2016, but it was just a really tight 8-piece collection, I think.
Okay.
And we had samples made in of those 8 pieces and an assortment of sizes, and then we hit the road and did like 20 trunk shows within like a month's time. I think we essentially existed off of like Trader Joe's charcuterie boards for for a month, but and just went to like friends and families' homes kind of all over, mostly in the Southeast, but
Okay.
really covered like from DC, Maryland, down all through, the Southeast over to Texas, and just did these pop-ups. We had our set of samples so people could shop in person, try on, and pre-order. So
Okay.
they paid in advance. And then that is what, essentially covered our first production run. So,
Yeah.
it was great. It was, I think the excitement around the brand was like beyond what we had anticipated.
Mhm.
And doing it that way kind of created this uh exclusivity almost for like boutiques. And
Yeah.
so a handful of we were going to start with that first collection just as like a D2C
Mhm.
collection, selling just to through these trunk shows, and then kind of jump into wholesale with the fall collection. But it did sort of create this demand that we were not anticipating, and so we
Oh,
did end up like diving into some wholesale business like right off the bat with that spring summer collection, but then really hit the ground running with the wholesale piece of our business with fall. And then we also we did a small like fundraise just to, you know, build a little bit more of like
yeah.
a cash. Uh,
Now, with that, I feel like so many people with conferences I go to, and I hear a lot on panels about it. And so, can you talk a little bit more about fundraising, getting some cash? Like, was it mostly friends and family? How or like, where'd you go? Can you talk just a little bit about how that worked for you?
yeah. Um, I mean, we were really fortunate in that we didn't need much. So we raised $200,000, which,
Mhm.
like, in the grand scheme of fundraising, is just not very much.
Mhm.
And so we were able to just sort of tap into like a friends and family group of people.
Okay.
And yeah, people contributed sort of various amounts to get to that 200,000. And it was all done as like debt equity. So we
Okay.
have since paid them back, which was great. But yeah, it was a very small.
Yeah, but still, that's helpful. Yeah, I mean, that helps you move along the business. And I think you just sharing that is helpful because I hear that from a lot of people just starting out is like, I hear about fundraising, but like, what does that mean exactly? Like, how big or like how little? And can you do it with just friends and family? And like, what does it look like paying them back? So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. And then they have a small bit of equity,
Hmm.
in the business. But it's not a lot.
Yeah.
So, this is this business, this industry, it's such like the cash flow, the in and out of like cash is so volatile just in
Mm.
the way you're ordering goods and payment timelines and, with wholesale and all of that. So, I feel like we're always thinking about other ways to
Yeah.
potentially raise money or, um, take on some debt or something,
Hmm.
just to have a little bit more of a cushion for that flow of cash, because it really is essential for growth.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but it can be scary.
Totally. So, I know that you are celebrating 10 years, right? Yes. Okay. So, what do you think really put you guys on the map at first? After you're out there, you do a lot of these chunk shows, you get picked up by wholesale. But what do you think, like, flip the switch where, you turn the other corner and you're like this well-known successful brand? Like I feel like even local boutiques here, I see your brand all the time. I see, Megan Murphy, an editor who I'm friendly with, wearing your pieces on Good Morning America. What do you think really like flipped the switch for you guys? And once you got there, you're like, not that we've made it, because I feel like everyone always with the business is like, there's something next, but that moment where you're like, wow.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I don't know if there was like one specific moment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there have definitely been a lot of little
Yeah.
moments of just like, you know, kind of moments of reflection of like, oh my gosh, this is real. I mean, when we first started, it was just Taylor and
Mm-hmm.
myself. We were working out of my 1-bedroom apartment in Atlanta, just at the kitchen table, like hustling. I mean, we still to this day are scrappy in every way we can be. But working, and I remember for that first shipment we had, we were doing all of like the packing and all of that stuff. We pretty early on moved to like a 3PL, which is like a separate warehouse to
Yeah.
do all of that. But for this first group, we were doing it, and I remember this, giant truck pulled up to my house that had like 2 flights of stairs to get up to, and they had like pallets of boxes to deliver. And we were like, is this the right address? Like, where's the loading dock type thing? And we're like, oh, nope. Okay, this is real. Like the volume, the demand is there.
Oh my
That
gosh.
was definitely a moment of like, okay, wow, like this is.
Seeing all that merchandise, like how much? Yeah.
But I don't know. I think, when we started, it's definitely like the market and has changed so
Mhm.
much in the last 10 years. And I mean, now, there are so many printed brands out there, and I do feel like we have more competition and there's more noise to kind of cut through. But when we
Mhm.
started, I do feel like we really were unique in that
Mhm.
space of like this print driven, bold, bright, custom prints and just like these easy to wear pieces. Like I really do think we were filling this sort of niche that
Mhm.
that wasn't there at least as much. And so I do think that was a big contributor as to why like we really had such success from day one.
Yep.
People were craving like fun clothing,
Yep.
that was easy to wear, that was not that was conservative enough,
Mhm.
that could satisfy multiple generations, and size, makes you feel good no matter your size type thing. Um, so I do think like a lot of it was the product,
Yeah.
but I don't know. There's been lots of little moments.
No, totally. I mean, I think even still to this day, I can see a piece on a rack and I know it's yours. Just how the print is designed and sometimes the color palette. So I think you've done a really good job with that being recognizable for what you guys are good at and known for, right?
Yeah, yeah. I do. One other moment was I was in New Orleans visiting a friend, and that was the first time I saw someone in the wild, like in a Crosby piece. And I
Yeah.
mean, I practically accosted this poor woman. Like I freaked out. And she's like, I don't know you. Like I just bought this from a boutique. Like what's going on? But that was definitely a moment of like, oh my gosh, like, strangers are buying
Yeah.
this, not just like my friends and family because they
Yeah.
feel like they have to.
Totally. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Now, in terms of marketing, what do you think has really helped get the brand out there over the years?
Yeah. I mean, we have really taken a grassroots approach with
Mhm.
marketing. We have invested, financially, like very little into marketing. Pretty
Mhm.
much our, the whole trajectory of the business, which is, um, I maybe not smart, maybe smart. I don't know. Like I feel like to a degree we haven't had to, which has
Yeah.
been really nice.
Mhm.
Honestly, our wholesale business is a huge
Mm.
marketing
Yeah.
lever for us because that is like such a point of discovery for so many
Yeah.
of our customers, is that in-person shopping experience. We did a customer survey maybe last year,
Mhm.
and following one that we had done probably 4 years ago too. And both surveys, in asking like, how did you discover the brand?
Yeah.
Shopping at a local boutique has been, the number one um, selection by like a long
Interesting.
shot. So
Yeah.
that's a huge, I think um, that's kind of free
Yeah.
marketing in a way.
Well, so kind of, I would say, I have a quick question then based off of that. So, with wholesale being so important to your business, then, do you have any tips for listeners on how to get into wholesale? Like at first, were you going to the shows in a booth yourself, and maybe now you're in a showroom? Like, what advice do you have on that, on getting those relationships and even nourishing those relationships?
Yeah, yeah. So we started out in a showroom,
Okay.
like right off the bat, did not do our own booth, at least in Atlanta and Dallas. We have done Coterie, which
Hmm.
is a New York show, for
Yeah.
a handful of years, and that you have to do everyone has their own booth. So we had our own booth there. But I think there is huge value in finding a showroom partner,
Hmm.
and one that like, is a good fit for you. You want to be
Hmm.
somewhere where the stores that you are targeting are already walking in,
Yeah.
to the showroom to shop there. So there are other brands in there that you would hang with in a store. And they just, the relationship building piece of the wholesale
Hmm.
business it's essential. Like it's so important. And these showroom owners, they're so good at what they do. Most of them have been in the business in some way forever. They have such a built out Rolodex. They have relationships with all of these people. And so,
Hmm.
you get into the right showroom where the right stores are going to be coming in, and then you have these showroom owners or these reps who are, advocating for you, and they're
Hmm.
people that these boutique owners trust because they have this like tenure of business together. And so they're going to be probably much more willing to take a risk and try something new if your company is vetted by
Hmm.
this showroom owner who they know and trust, versus like just having them discover you down on like the temps
Yeah.
floor type
Yeah.
thing.
That
And
makes
I
sense.
do think, with showrooms, it's really with any wholesale business, it's a slow build. Like it's not, I think you have to go in knowing that like you're not going to blow it out of the water the first show, maybe not even the second or
Yeah.
third show. Like it really takes probably a year to
Mhm,
really, or even more, kind of depending on the territory and what
mhm,
you're selling, to really build that trust and
yeah,
relationship. But I cannot advocate enough for showrooms. I think,
mhm,
there's a reason they're there and they are doing what they're doing. And they, being able to leverage all of the connections that they have it, is
mhm.
super important. And I think gives you such a leg up and versus like you just cold calling on your own.
Yep. No, 1,000%. I think that's so smart what you said, because I hear that a lot, that it takes time. Like you're not going to go to your first show and, like you said, blow it out of the water. Like it doesn't normally happen that way. It's that repetitiveness and building that really takes you to the next level. I think a lot of people go in and they expect the first show is it's going to change their whole business. And a lot of times you might just walk away with like one or two orders that first one. So yeah. And that's normal.
Yeah. And like, if you can find the right partner, it's like also there's, I think, trying to stay put for,
Mhm.
you know, a, a decent period of time, instead of just, you don't want to have like one show with someone, maybe didn't go how you wanted it to go. I mean, certainly if it's a bad fit, it's a bad
Yeah.
fit. But like if sales are slow, like don't jump and move somewhere else, because it's like
Mhm.
any time you move, like you're taking two steps back to
Yeah.
take one step forward. And again, like obviously there's circumstances in which you need to do that, but I think like
Mhm.
if you can stay put a little bit for, a period of time, that helps you in the long run, because people start to know where you are. Like these wholesalers they have so much to do. They have so many brands they're seeing when they come to these markets. Like they're probably not necessarily thinking about you in the same way that like you're maybe thinking about ensuring that they come see you. So like
Yeah.
the more accessible and like consistent you are with them, the more likely they are to like keep you on their radar.
Yeah, 1,000%. So, we mentioned that you are celebrating 10 years of business, which is amazing. So, can you talk a little bit more about the business today for those, a lot of listeners probably are familiar with your brand, but for those who aren't, like, what does it look like? How many collections are you doing? What's the inspiration for the collection that's out right now? What does your team look like? Any of that stuff, because I think, it's a great to celebrate.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. I know I'm so proud, and I feel like this whole year's been emotional for so many reasons. The just I mean, it's been the 10 years itself it's a constant roller coaster.
Mhm.
I mean, owning any business, there's the highs are high and the lows are low, and hold on to those highs and get
Mhm.
through the lows. But I think, I'm so proud of where we are today. I feel like we've certainly had to ride some waves. I think any business who's made it through COVID, and then now, like, if you are someone who imports from overseas, like we produce currently all in China. And like that's, with everything going on with the tariffs, like
Yeah.
that's been made virtually impossible right now. So I feel like we've navigated some really unprecedented times, and I'm
Yeah.
so proud of that. But yeah, we are a team of 10, I think,
Wow.
11. Yeah, and then, that's like who's, working
Mhm.
in office type
Yep.
thing. Obviously, like we work with showrooms and things too, who are
Mhm.
um who, work with the brand but not within the team. So yeah, we're a group of 10, so still, lean, scrappy.
But that's amazing still. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that will ever really, change. But I mean, we have a great team. We have a great leadership team.
Mhm.
So I have a CFO and COO who, I'm working closely with constantly,
Mhm.
who are wonderful. And then, within each department, we have a team of all women, and I think everyone, really is so passionate about the brand
Yeah.
and making it a success. And so feel really fortunate to have that. And then, as far as collections go, we produce 9
Wow.
collections a year.
It's a
Yeah,
lot.
so it's a lot. And just thinking about that. So I still do, pretty much all of the design and all of the print design.
Okay.
And there's, anywhere from 3 to 6 prints in each collection.
Okay.
So it's a lot of creative getting kind of churned out. But really it's all like so still very thoughtful and
Mhm.
still, a slow fashion process. I mean, I'm working on wrapping up spring 2026 right now.
Mm.
So we really, we're working a year in advance and just thinking about all that goes into getting a collection from like the ideation stage to launching. It
Yep.
it, it takes so many hands. And but yeah, I mean, our collections are, probably, I feel like they've kind of leveled out in size a little bit over the
Mhm.
last few years. We also did this past year an activewear capsule
Oh, yeah.
for the first time, which was really fun. And I think something we'll probably continue to do.
Yep.
So, just I think looking ahead, like thinking about, because we're so print driven, like thinking about what other categories our
Mhm.
customer might want to see, in our prints. Is it activewear? Is it swimwear? Is it children's? There's
Mhm.
so many kind of additional categories that we could dive into, but just, trying to be really thoughtful with that.
What's this current collection or, summer collection inspired by, would you say?
Yeah. So summer, which is 2 drops. So the first one's already dropped. The next one's dropping, I think not next week, but the next week.
Okay.
And it was inspired by my travels to Mexico City. So I went to Mexico City last year and just fell in love with that city. It's incredible. I mean, it's a huge city that I feel like something I loved about it is it's like if you don't kind of know the pockets and like the
Mm-hmm.
hidden secrets, it can just feel like this big, overwhelming, like dirty city. But then, you kind of round a corner onto this, magical street that feels like you're in old Europe. Or
Yeah.
the architect Barragan was a huge inspiration for me. He kind of works in these just like big blocks of color, and his signature color is pink, and
Mm.
it just like all of his buildings, I fell in love with them. I mean, it's been like this one house has been on my bucket list to see for years, and it lived up to the hype. So that's where the inspiration comes
I
from for
love that.
summer.
Oh my gosh, a giant pink house. I can't imagine.
I know. Why isn't this a thing here? I need this to be a thing.
Totally. So, going off of that question a little bit more, what is your best seller, would you say, right now? And then what's your personal favorite?
Oh gosh. Well, I just love like big, easy pieces.
Hmm.
I mean, the shirt I'm wearing is like super oversized but fun. So this is the Briley top.
Okay.
But bestseller. I mean, our all-time bestseller, like over the course of the 10 years, is
Hmm.
definitely our Maggie top, which
Okay.
was in our very first collection. It's like the very first style number in our library of style numbers. We're bringing her. I mean, we've done her a handful of times. She's great in any print. She's easy. We're bringing her back. She's so as part of our birthday celebration, we have a really special birthday capsule collection that we're launching. It's 10 pieces for 10 years. Each piece just has like a really unique special story to it,
Uh-huh.
whether it's the print or the body name or whatever. But we're bringing back the Maggie top for that collection because she
Okay.
is our all-time bestseller. But right now, gosh, I feel like I need to like look on our website. um we have a lot of fun, like big applique type embroidery.
Yeah, well, that's what this dress is. Yeah, yeah, I love it.
New, thank you, that's kind of new for us, which I think is really fun. It's kind of
Yeah.
like a spin on of like a placed print, but not like
Hmm.
it's kind of an iteration of a print.
Yeah.
It's we like to call it, like with our solids, we try to make every piece feel special, even if it is a solid. Not that a solid can't be special, but
Hmm.
we're always talking about like making solids non-solids,
Mm.
so it's like adding some special element that makes it unique.
Yeah,
And so that's been a really fun
I love that, like, perspective of them. Yeah.
through our spring and summer collections that have been really fun. We have like another dress coming in the second group, called the Owens dress, which might
Okay.
be my favorite. I know that's not online to shop yet, but it will be in a couple weeks. But I
Yeah.
think if I had to pick one style from this summer season, it would be that. It's
Mm.
just like it's crew neck, sleeveless, has this pretty tie detail on the back, but still bra friendly, and it's just a long sort of A-line, easy dress. But I
Mm.
feel like it's flattering on everyone. It's coming in some really fun two really fun prints. One is called Mexico City, which is this place print that I'm just super excited
Yeah.
about, and then Barragan, which is another kind of a spin-off of like the inspiration. It took inspiration from this architect that I mentioned. And then the third one is this really beautiful olive color with like a big palm applique on it.
Ooh.
Yeah, so those really excited about all of those. I've already been wearing the samples, and I will be wearing those
Yeah.
also.
Those sound amazing. So since this is the Preppy podcast, I always ask everyone, what does Preppy mean to you? So how would you describe Preppy?
Preppy. Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I immediately think of pink and just like fun. I feel like preppy, there's this sense of just like joy and kind of like happiness tied to
Mhm.
it. It's like if you say someone's preppy, I just feel like they also like have a smile on their face, you
Yeah.
know? And I think, preppy can be a lot of different things. Like I think for so many people, preppy, minds might go to like a polo Oxford
Mhm.
and like boat shoes from, when you were maybe in high school, although I know
Mhm.
those things are like have come back. I think like preppy can also be sophisticated and um sort of and like timeless, but
Yeah.
someone who really isn't afraid to still kind of like stand out and pop. Like I
Mhm.
love that, someone who would maybe define themselves as preppy is not afraid of color. They're not
Mhm.
afraid of print.
Mhm.
They're not afraid to like stand out. Um, but still, are doing that in a way that's like true to themselves and their
Mhm.
style.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great answer. I love that. Um, so, I always ask what's next, like what are you working on? And obviously it's this 10-year anniversary and this capsule, but anything else you want to share that people can look out for or plug?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, we have our final summer drop coming in a couple weeks.
Mhm.
And then I mean, it's crazy. Like starting in July, we dive right into our fall collection. So
Mhm.
we have some really great stuff coming for the rest of 2025. Three fall groups, our birthday capsule, and a really beautiful holiday
Oh,
collection.
I love your holiday collections.
Yeah, holiday is always the most fun to
Mhm.
design because it's just like, I mean, it's holiday.
Yeah.
You get to have fun with it. And it's all fun, but I'm biased to holiday. Uh, and then, I think something else that's exciting, just going back to this whole like tariff thing,
Mhm.
that has definitely been super challenging to navigate. But it's forcing us to really, evaluate production and like where we're manufacturing and diversifying all of that in a whole new way, which is maybe not as like fun for the customer to hear, but not that it's bad, but just it's not
Yeah.
fun to close. But I think that is exciting for us, and that I was able to just take a trip to India where we've met
Mhm.
with some great new partners, and with new partnerships and all of that,
Mhm.
it's always going to be hard, but also like there's always going to be new fun things that maybe
Yeah.
they can do that like
You couldn't do in the past.
or yeah couldn't do
Yeah.
in the past. So I think there's a lot of excitement for us around that and like what we're going to be able to bring to our customer for 2026. So that's really exciting.
I love that. Yeah, bringing some new ideas and invigorating things, right?
Yeah, yes, for
S-
sure.
So, my final question is, where can people find you? Let them know your website, social media handles, all of that, so they can follow along, they can shop and support you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find everything online on our website. It's Crosby by MollieBurch.com. And Mollie is Mollie, and
Mhm.
Birch is Burch. So yeah, everything's shoppable on our website. I mean, certainly, we like I had mentioned, we do have a big wholesale
Mhm.
business. So if you ever want to check to see if we're in a boutique local to you, you can always reach out to our customer service. We have a wonderful customer service team who can get you that information if you prefer to shop in person. And then our Instagram is always a really fun place to follow along and get, we share styling tips behind the scenes, just kind of days in the life with me. And that is at Crosby by Mollie Burch. Just, all together,
Yep.
all one word. So I would say those are the two main places. I mean, we do have a Facebook page. We do have a TikTok, but Instagram's going to be the best place,
Mhm.
like as far as social goes, to follow along. And then sign up for our email list serve. So you can find that on the bottom at the bottom of our website if you scroll down. And that, by signing up for our emails, we don't send a lot of emails. But, that way you can stay in the know for when, things launch or sales are happening. It's kind of the best way to, keep up with what's going on
Yeah.
at Crosby.
No, I love even your text services. I love those when I get a text about a sale or something like that. So definitely sign up for either of those. But
Yeah, and you get a promo code when you sign up for both, like for the first time. So
okay.
there's a little incentive there.
Oh, good to know. All right. Well, Mollie, thank you so much for being on the Preppy podcast. This was so great talking with you and learning more about your amazing business.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I feel like we've known each other in this industry for so long, so it's been fun
Seriously.
to share on a deeper level with you about all things Crosby.
Thank you so much for listening to the Preppy podcast. I hope this put a little prep in your step for the day. Please subscribe, rate, and review on wherever you listen to your podcast, and follow along with @the Preppy Podcast on social media.